Get this stupid logo up.
All right, y'all. We are live. Welcome to the live stream. We are going to be talking about a movie that y'all remember dropped during the peak of the MCU Golden Age, the movie that bridged Civil War and Infinity War. We're going to be talking about the movie that was definitely culturally different, the first Black superhero film in the MCU, directed by Ryan Coogler. Yes, that's Ryan Coogler, fresh at the time off of Creed 1. Of course, we know we had Chadwick Boseman, rest in power, who made T'Challa feel like an MCU ace in Civil War, and it just added to the anticipation and the hype. Y'all, we're talking about $1 billion movie that became a moment in time. But the real question is, does it hold up 8 years later? We have to talk about it. Welcome to Canon Shift. Hero, I'm going to throw it over to you, man. Everybody, if you're watching this live, you may be wondering what's going on. What's Canon Shift? Let them know.
Yeah, everybody. So, per the title, this is not a joke. Point 3 is gone, right? We are ending Point 3 podcast. To everybody that has started with us since that initial name, thank you, everybody, well and truly. And I think we have to start off by just saying that to our community members that are actively in there every time, whether you've watched us from not too long ago, you just started, or you've been with us for a while. Again, thank you all, because we wouldn't be here without you. But we did decide it was time for a shift, a name shift for us, a rebranding, and we've decided to now go by Canon Shift. There's a few reasons as to why, and we're going to be very upfront with you guys for a minute. So definitely bear with us. But the first one is that we truly felt like Point 3, as good as a name as it was, that we enjoyed it. We feel like it didn't invoke the superhero feeling. And that's what we primarily talk about here on the show, on the channel. It just didn't feel like that. You hear Point 3, and as we talked about it, we were kind of like, it's more of a sports thing. With Canon Shift, we now feel like you get that superhero feeling. Canon, you typically think of superhero canon. You think about canon events from across the Spider-Verse. So it invokes that nerd fandom feel, which is something that we really like. Shift, because we like to shift our opinions, and opinions are ever shifting. One day we can like one thing, tomorrow we can hate it. Today we can hate it, tomorrow we can love it. And that's the beauty of what we like to do and talk about here. So we really feel like Canon Shift as a name just fits better the things we want to talk about. Not just that, we were called Point 3 Podcast, and we'll be completely honest, we didn't have a podcast. So in changing the name, it gives us more freedom to do other things without misleading the audience, which is everybody watching. And not just that, we also feel like Point 3 needed a refresh, right? We're coming up on our 3rd year doing this. And like I said at the start, we love it. We love everything we've done. But I think just because of the time frame that we started the show and the channel, a lot of it was based around the live action superhero genre. So that's changed, right? The opinion on that has changed big time. So it's not the big focus anymore. And we want to branch out and talk about many different other things as well. And Canon Shift will allow us to do that. So just some quick reasonings as to why. Again, we wanted to be very upfront with the audience as to why we're doing it. So to everybody, welcome to the first live stream of Canon Shift.
And the best news is none of us are leaving like some people thought in the LT. So we're all going to be staying here and shifting perspectives, as Hero mentioned earlier. So I'm excited. Add some more colors to play around with too.
Yeah, we got color. Yeah.
Yep. Is the logo up already?
Yeah, everything is up on YouTube. I could put a full screen image of it.
There we go. It's in the corner.
Bang.
There you go.
Or bang. Better background.
There we go. So for everybody, again, here's the official Canon Shift logo. We spent a lot of time working on this, so we hope everybody likes it. Dill, Nate, Mikey, sorry.
In here.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. Dylan, you're 3-month-old. Definitely welcome. But yeah. Anything else that we need to say about the rebrand?
We appreciate you guys being here and being along with us, and we hope you guys appreciate it. And I think this is going to give us a chance, kind of like Hero had mentioned, to give you guys much stronger content, more interesting content, and kind of branch out, but still be superhero focused. Always at the heart of it, right? We are still going to be, watching. We're going to be reading. We're going to be nerding out, but I think it's going to go to a whole new level. I'm excited for you guys to see what we have in store.
100%. 100%. Giving Street Fighter vibes. That's awesome. I didn't even think about that, to be honest, with the logo, but I can't hate it. I really can't. Nick, welcome, man. But yeah, I guess without further ado, let's talk about a movie like you teed up so well in the intro that came out. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but 8 years ago.
It feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
Insane.
In absolute insanity that Black Panther, yes, the first Black Panther movie came out 8 years ago. It again baffles me because I remember it like yesterday, waiting in line for the theater to open up, because I had never seen my theater this busy in this way, and our theater was very big. It was the biggest one in the town, so like the fact that they had multiple lines for for each showing, I think they had like literally showings 10 minutes apart. It was insane in like the biggest theater rooms.
Yeah, dude. I mean, SP, were you at the theater at this point?
Oh yeah, I was getting ready to talk. I had a crazy opening weekend, and a fire alarm had went off on that Friday morning when Black Panther came out, and that was one of the craziest days of my work experience. I felt bad for every single customer, obviously, that got interrupted with the movie, and they were literally yelling to like trying to like get back in. I'm like, dude, there is a fire alarm going off. I can't let anybody in the theater right now. And like there's literally, we didn't know about it. I forgot exactly what happened. I think it was just like a faulty alarm or something, but there was no actual fire, thank God, besides the fire of Black Panther being played on the theater screens and how good it was. But it was a very good weekend. That was opening weekend wise, it did pretty damn well, if I recall. And obviously over $1 billion in the box office. And
Yeah.
great movie. Rewatching it again recently, even all 8 years later, it just still gives you goosebumps. And especially R.I.P. Chadwick, knowing his passing, I think adds on to the goosebumps even more. But it still holds up. It's still a freaking amazing movie.
Even going back and thinking about it, like coming off of the hype of Civil War and getting that, what really was like a nice tease. And the Russos, you did something right. It was a really nice tease for Black Panther, because when he came in, he felt like an ace in Civil War when he showed up. Like I always remember that scene where Bucky like breaks out and Panther like drops down from the top and they start going hand to hand. And you're like, damn, Black Panther's going hand to hand. Like the rooftop scene when he's in his suit, like he felt so good on intro. So knowing that like his solo film is coming up, and then you get this whole wave of like people who, I think this is probably, at least in my opinion, the first time where the movie I think transcended just MCU fans. And like you had celebrities getting into it. You had people all over the place who had eyes on this movie, and you're like, this feels different. And then you get to the theater and you're like, this feels different, because it wasn't a Batman, it wasn't a Spider-Man, it wasn't a Captain America and an Iron Man. You're just like, what is this really going to be? Like, it's Black Panther. For some people, they didn't even know who Black Panther was. Like, I mean, you go back to the Civil War conversation, they're like, oh, who? Like, who's that guy? He looks like a cat. I always remember people are like, the cats, and I'm like, no, it's not Black Cat. I'm like, please stop.
Yeah,
But
no.
dude, it just hype for this movie going in.
Yeah. No, all through the roof, because I remember in Civil War, and I mean, I remember the theater reaction when he stopped Zemo from offing himself, and he's like, "The living are not done with you yet," and people like popped off at that. Like,
That became a thing afterwards, bro. Like somebody stopped you from crossing the street because a car came, bro. People were just like, "The living are done with it yet." Like,
yeah, like people pop off at that line, and it was truly incredible. And again, like just that theater experience of like, it's interesting to me because both Infinity War and Endgame, at least for my showings, and we went like opening weekend, were not packed out, like sold out every single seat. And I saw all of these at the same theater. Black Panther was sold out every single seat. There was not an empty seat in my theater. And again, just the fact that this character had very little live action representation, because again, we'll get into the comic talk and aspect of that and how that plays into the movie a little bit later. But the fact that beyond Civil War, there was nothing else about this character for him to have that much hype shows you just how well, like we said, the Russos did and the trailers did. Because I think a big part that got people hyped up was the trailers and the presentation of this movie. It presented itself so differently than anything that was coming out at the time. I mean, not just superheroes, but most other movies that seeing this, it felt like genuinely you were missing out on a part of a big cultural event if you did not go.
yeah. And I think a lot of that too does, shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Because I think when you first saw him as Killmonger and you saw his like him and his fit, his kind of costume, his design after Creed, him bulking up and you're like, hello? Like, who's that? And they're like, oh, it's Killmonger. And you're like, who's that? And you're like, people were just interested in the whole thing. And we'll get into it here of what it is. But I think to your point now, looking back on it, a lot of people were kind of wondering, would this change things for Marvel? And 8 years later, I almost think that nothing has really moved people like this since.
I'd agree. I would very much agree. From presentation again to everything I think about it. Nothing has come as close, I would dare say, as Michael B. I'm sorry, Wakanda Forever. That's the only other thing that I can think that came as close to this. And again, a big part of that was presentation. And again, from Michael B. Jordan, like you said, Ryan Coogler getting that, after Creed, now getting that bump and being like, oh, the same dude who did Creed, which was awesome,
Yeah.
is doing this. Heck yeah, I want to watch that. Then you hear the soundtrack, with Kendrick Lamar doing so many songs that still hold up incredibly well, even now.
Oh, dude,
He's so good.
I still listen to the
Soundtrack is
soundtrack, bro.
so good.
I
All the
still
Stars
listen to
comes off at the gym playlist, and it's Jover.
Yeah.
It's going hard.
all the stars, so many. It just
Dude,
the one with
even
the
rewatching
Weeknd.
it the other day, just like hearing all the stars just through my headphones, it just literally brought me back to the theater. Like just that exact same vibes I felt
Mhm.
from finishing the movie and hearing it on Dolby, whatever theaters have. Crazy.
And-
Still so good.
I'll even say I really did enjoy some things in Creed because I think it was around that time that I was playing some like boxing games and stuff and like kind of like getting into it. And like Creed was cool, but there was something a little different. And then without knowing it, knowing that Ludwig Göransson is a part of this and watching the movie and now knowing how like immersed that they got into the movie and worked with Coogler and artists and those things of just the blend of the music in this is top notch. The soundtrack is top notch. The score is top notch and it blends so well together going into this because you had Panther's theme, but then right off the bat, you get the mix of soundtrack score, Wakandan theme, and it just let's talk about the movie.
I was gonna say, transitioning into that, I think another aspect that I personally have to really praise the movie about, and again, we'll focus on certain characters after, but it's the fact that I think, in my opinion, it is still one of, if not the best MCU projects overall that handles almost every single character perfectly, where they don't feel out of place, that they feel like they are important to the narrative and they add to it, and you don't feel like they are wasted. I mean, from Claw, from Shuri to Zuri to Killmonger to Queen Ramonda,
Ross, everybody.
Ross, Okoye, everybody, Nakia, Umbaku, again, everybody just feels like they belong. And that's an incredible thing to say about any movie.
And especially too when you go back and think of, you obviously have your title character and main character in Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa and his kind of through line in his story. And the way that this movie introduces a character makes that character feel better and takes them a step forward, but then feeds T'Challa at the same time is so good. And you can really slice this movie in half and go the first 50% of who is Black Panther, and then boom, you get your reveal of the whole moment with T'Chaka and T'Challa's uncle and really what happened. And then boom, you get your second half of the movie. The vibes in between those, you could break this down into thirds, you could break it down into halves, quarters, eighths, sixteenths, like literally follow the music with this thing, and you'll find so many ways that this can bridge to the next thing. And it's so cool. Really, I mean, I watch this movie every year and it's on TV. If it's on, I'll have it on. And watching it this time, especially after reading more Black Panther and seeing how authors and writers have created him and visually how people have drawn him and just the arcs that he's been taken on, this movie did so well establishing this MCU Black Panther, honoring what came in the pages beforehand, but taking to your point, like the Claws and the Killmongers of the world, and just making this brand new story to give us to be like, hey, here's $1 billion story. Like, you're welcome. And it's just insane to see when you break it down again.
And I really think too, on top of that, not just that, it solved a lot of the big things that I think people were feeling about the MCU for a while. How they were like, it's been, I know Guardians of the Galaxy did produce a new team and a new set of characters that I think people felt attached to, but I think after that, it was kind of your bread and butter MCU characters, and then Black Panther came along, and now you fell in love with a whole different part of the MCU. It showed you a whole different nation and story that you can really connect yourself with, and that people attach themselves onto and have loved ever since. And not just that, I think one of the big things that even up until 2018 was a big conversation piece of negative about the MCU was the villain problem. So many people were like, "Hey, villains kind of either suck, don't stick around, or just don't feel like as impactful anymore within the MCU," bearing a few
Yeah.
exceptions here and there. But then Killmonger came out, and now the conversation shifted, and now I still think Killmonger is held up there as like, if you want a superhero movie villain, how do you want to make them in the vein of? And I think Killmonger is brought up a lot of times.
I'm curious what you think about this, because as I went through and looked at Killmonger again, I agree he's one of the best villains, but when he steps into Wakanda, he almost makes your heroes feel like the villains. And I'm not saying he was a sympathetic villain, but you can justify, was Killmonger right in a lot of ways, especially when he delivers Claw and shows up and the border tribe's like, who is this? And he's like, yo, remember that guy that blew up your mom and dad? By the way, I got him. And then you're like, dang, I've been asking T'Challa and the king to do that for how many years? Like, no one could do that. And then you come in and you're like, they're liars. I'll be the true king to tell you. People who look like us are out here dying. I've seen it. So do you really care? You're sitting here comfortable on your thrones. I'm a person of action. Let's do it. Wakanda's the strongest. Let's prove it. And like, it is villainous in a way, but at the same time, it's legit. Like he brings up legitimate questions, being like, guys, I think he might be right. And then you get your whole thing with like Nakia and Okoye. And Okoye is like, I gotta look at the throne. Then you get the switch with M'Baku. Like, Killmonger does so much to flip the dynamic of this movie on its head and make it so interesting as you sprint towards the end. Then next thing you know, the movie's done. 8 years later, and I'm glued to a TV. Forget about the kids, forget about the stuff, forget about what happened at work. Like, dude, I was so in the zone again. I'm like, oh, this movie's so good. It's just so good.
He's definitely brought some morality duality to the table, and I haven't used that in a while.
I know, that's perfect. That's perfect.
We're carrying that over from
Yeah.
Point 3.
But no, he's a great villain, and I do want to point out one thing that I really liked was now he kind of designed his suit to be like Vegeta, because Michael B. Jordan loves
Mhm.
Dragon Ball and Vegeta. Just fun fact, he pretty much tailor-made that to like be a Saiyan shield type or Saiyan armor inspiration.
Yep.
And I thought that was awesome. Just this little side note.
Right. Random side note to the side note. The costuming for Michael B. Jordan is so good. When he shows up in the museum, dude, like so much swag, man. Every time he shows up, I'm like, oh, dude, this man crush
Costuming
Monday
for
all over again.
everything in this movie was amazing. Like that's cinematography. I know Neat commented. I think you guys brought it up earlier. The cinematography was just something absolutely breathtaking as I watched it as well, and it makes it. I feel like we haven't had a good as good of like movie since then with this one. The colors was beautiful and popping everywhere. Wakanda just looked amazing. They showed the sunset at the end of like when T'Challa was showing Killmonger, like the beautiful sunset. Damn, paid off from the beginning of having his Killmonger's dad wanting to show it to him. Such a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible the amount of work they put into it. Because if you guys haven't seen, definitely watch the what's it called? The Marvel making behind the
Assembled or
scenes.
making
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Of Wakanda Forever, and just the amount of work that they did for that movie. And I think it's gonna be very clear that they put the same amount of effort into the first one, and you can see just the love in the costuming, the design of just every single character. And that's again something SB, like you said, I don't think you see in many films. You see it a lot of times in Ryan Coogler because that's the type of creative mind that he is.
Yeah.
But you don't see that too many times. But going back to the plot for a minute and the morality duality, because I think there's a very interesting take that I think is the movie's trying to say, and it's what is actually, and I think they say it outright: can a good man be a good king?
Mm.
Right. And I think that's the biggest question that they use, and they even bring over into Wakanda Forever, which I think that's why when you watch those movies as a double feature, they are literally like perfection. Because you look at T'Chaka, and you can kind of assume, especially from Civil War, that you can assume he's a good man. He's raised his family right. He's done the things for his country, but then you start finding out the things that he's done, and you can ask yourself, are they really bad objectively? Like him killing his brother, is it a bad thing? Yes, but was it the best in its best interest for Wakanda?
Right.
Maybe. But what is that ripple effect? And we see it throughout the entire movie, how that impacts T'Challa, how that impacts Killmonger, how that impacts the entire Wakandan nation. It's incredible. And then you contrast that. You have the example of T'Chaka, you have T'Challa's example, and then you have Killmonger's example. How kind of both extremes don't really work, and you have to find this balance. It's incredible. And again, that carries over into Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, even to that point, I love that because as you kind of go through, since the late 90s until now, that's always been kind of a core theme of Black Panther stories of what does it mean to be a king? What does it mean for T'Challa to take over the throne? Not only to be the Black Panther and be T'Challa, but also be the ruler of the most powerful nation on earth, and that is Wakanda. And you have to, I think one thing that like gets lost is the simple weight of what that means to carry that, right? Because it's not a mantle. It's not like having Cap's shield, even though that's very important. It's you have people every single day that are trying to knock on your door now because of decisions that you made, like at the end, right? He decides to open the borders and they do the outreach thing and he goes back to Oakland and all that stuff happens. And Wakanda is now on the map and they do carry that over in Wakanda Forever. But with this, you have that whole shift of he knows obviously what happened to his father and he's like, I'm not ready. And he's thrust into the position and almost forced into it by Killmonger of being like, your daddy made the wrong decision. Are you going to make the wrong decision? I'm not even going to give you a decision. Fight me for the throne. When you saw during that time, he was trying to be like, get this guy out of here. I don't want to admit it. I don't want the elders to know what my father did because I want to protect his legacy. Because to your point, he was a good man. And that's him trying to be a good man. But we can look at it and be like, that's still the wrong choice in a lot of ways. And it's just so, I can't imagine what that balance looks like for any of us. But I think that's a testament to how good his introduction was in Civil War to already have him start here. Because we don't really question a lot of things throughout this movie. Like, why is a king leaving Wakanda and showing up to go get Nakia, right? Like, oh, I'm going to be king. I'm coordinating. Like, why are you leaving to go do these things? That's T'Challa. Why are you going to fight and be depowered? That's T'Challa. Why are you going to all this stuff up? That's T'Challa. So, as a character, probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, on introduction all the way through until, obviously his passing in the MCU, hands down. All of superhero stuff, hands down, including animation. But that what does that ruler, mean? What does it mean to be a ruler and power? I think this is just one of those movies that if you want to learn what power looks like, how it feels, what do they display? Coogler and the entire team, I think, do a great job of just setting that up to be like, this is power and this is what it looks like. And people are always attacking that and want that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way he portrays that inner turmoil so many times is great. And I still think like genuinely and maybe an underrated scene in a way is because I don't see enough people talk about it, in my opinion, is when he finally gets the heart-shaped herb again when he's up in Jabari territory and he talks to his father again and he tells him you were wrong.
Yeah.
Like you were wrong. And like to be able to admit that to him or tell him that to his face, better said, is a turning point for him because how many times would he question his father? Probably he's never had to do that.
Yeah.
But to see it and then just straight up tell him you are wrong, even though I'll never see you again. It's an incredibly powerful moment in my opinion, and I think just carries the determination of who T'Challa is from there on. So then every time you see him again, when you see him in Infinity War, when you see him in Endgame, you don't question him because you know what he's been through, and you're like, yeah, that's T'Challa. I know he's gonna do the right thing, and he's gonna do what's best, not just for everybody or for Wakanda, but for everybody.
He makes that decision. And like, that's being a leader. You make a decision. It might be the wrong decision. I mean, is opening the borders for Wakanda the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to do to let the world know that you have the most valuable resource in the universe? They didn't for centuries, but he made the decision to break tradition for the greater good of people. And you don't go through everything he went through and the interactions with Killmonger and T'Chaka and everyone else who supported him to not get to that point to be like, doesn't matter. We'll make it happen. We'll make it right. Dude, I don't know many. I mean, we're freaking looking at Doomsday here, and it's, we're talking about decisions, and it's like, hey, you got to live with them, man. And T'Challa does that in spades.
Yeah. So many times where the movie just kind of teeters on again what the consequences of your decisions are. Even taking Everett Ross into Wakanda, that in its own causes a big thing because now you have a CIA operative who knows about one of the most literally powerful, the most powerful nation in the world.
Gentlemen, I do think that is still my favorite scene when they show up to Busan and Nakia's out there and bam, she's hitting the Korean and then, Miss Kim's like, get in there. And then they walk in and bro, you get the Weekend playing and it's bumping in the background and he's walking in and they look so smooth. They look so good. And then you get Everett Ross as like double takes, and he's like, dang. Yeah, the king of Wakanda's here. We got a problem. Dude, I love that so much. I look forward to seeing that scene every time.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many good moments about this movie. But I do have to ask you, Lou, because you've been talking about how you've been reading Black Panther comics, and I think from what I've seen, there people kind of lie in either two realms. They either really like how T'Challa was portrayed, or they kind of take certain issues because they don't show fully the comic book T'Challa. And I think the biggest aspects about it is that he's not portrayed as smart as he is in the comics, and there's certain things that are missing. But having read some, do you feel like they still manage to balance that out well and show you who he still truly is?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the core of the generation of stories from starting back in '98 all the way until now in 2025, you get that sense of, again, what does it mean to be king? Can you live with your decisions? You see the strength of T'Challa at his core. And it almost reminds me in a lot of ways of like your shonen characters in anime and manga, to where they influence the people around them and they show enough grit and determination no matter what to overcome the odds in the end. And I think that definitely was captured. He's not as techy or as, to your point, as technologically, there per se, but I think they gave more of that to Shuri in this, which I don't think was a bad call. There were some other deviations and stuff, but at the end of the day, for T'Challa, he's the smooth, suave guy. He carries himself like a king. Like, he just has that swag, and I think Chadwick Boseman really embodied that throughout this, to be like, that is T'Challa. That is our live action T'Challa, and that fits. I think if you take that out, I think you still see this version of him, even in the '90s wave, right? Um, do I think that he could have been a little bit more brutal in ways? Maybe. But I think when you see that in the Panther costume, especially in Civil War, you got more of that in Civil War. And then I think they told a little bit more of the story. So from like, from Civil War all the way until Endgame, I think they did a great job of capturing that. And I think if you guys were to go back and read this, which I highly recommend, Christopher Priest, Reginald Hudden, like Tanesha Coates, like, go read, and you will feel, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that from Black Panther. Like, you can visualize and hear things from Black Panther uh live action back in these times. I have some of the voice still in my head when I'm reading this stuff. But I don't think that they were far off, if off at all.
For sure. For sure. And I think, Nate, to your point, I think that line right there, every breath you take is a mercy from me, when he's about to take out Claw, like midway through the movie, it does show that he can get to that point. Right. But again, to your point, I think they did a great job of showing that he's an ace no matter what. Even if you do, even if you can't show some of these other moments that I think maybe if T'Challa was in a Black Panther 2, I think they probably would have done more of that. Obviously, just, you know, real life circumstances couldn't allow for that. But I think he embodied the character so well that obviously Black Panther, I think, blew up even more into other things. So SB, I'll ask you this: what other adaptations that you've seen, from video games or anything, from Black Panther, that what's one that you just really love?
Mm, I mean, I've been waiting to see what they're doing with the that Marvel 1943 game with Black Panther, but
Don't get me started on
unfortunately
that,
that's been on
y'all.
the back burner for like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know Black Panther outside of much media besides the 2018 movie, so I've never really read much Black Panther comics. I guilty to say I've never seen Earth's Mightiest Hero, so I don't really resonate with him from there. And I don't really remember him in Ultimate Alliance that much. So this movie always was great, like, exposure to T'Challa and just the whole Black Panther war for me and everything. But it makes me wanna, like, it makes me wanna learn more about him. I just haven't really gotten around to it, unfortunately.
I think you bring up a really good point, because I think you can look at this and say, have you watched the animated Black Panther? Have you read all the Black Panther? Like, there's tons of history out there. The Fantastic Four first introduced, like, oh, we don't know Black Panther. Like, dude, we're fans of superheroes. We're fans of superheroes. And if this is, not just you specifically, but if anybody who's watching this, like, if your exposure to Black Panther is the movies, and you're like, Black Panther is one of my favorite superheroes, then Black Panther is one of your favorite superheroes. And that's how you consumed him. I don't think it makes any less if you read. I don't think it makes it any more if you read. I don't think it makes any more if you've read or watched the animated shows or anything like that. The quality projects, in my opinion, that capture the essence of this character, you'll be able to catch that in all these other ones. And everyone, you could be an only reader, you can be an only, movie watcher, whatever it is. Quality meets quality, right? And when you get that, at least in my opinion, if you watch Black Panther 2018 and you never read or consumed any other Black Panther, I'd be like, I think you're good. Still, I think Panther.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think definitely that knowledge can always be expanded upon, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the live stream. But again, to your point, I think there's so many good ways to consume Black Panther, and I think this is genuinely one of the best entry points for any superhero in general, because I think most of the time what ends up happening is the portrayal ends up being very far off from the character. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I think, like, just because I've been reading a lot more of him, but Moon Knight, once you start reading Moon Knight and then you watch the MCU show, you're like, these are not the same characters at all. It's still a good show, but it's just incredibly off.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that with Black Panther. And I don't see it that way. Is there things missing? Yes, but I think there's things missing from almost every MCU hero, because they just don't have the time, unfortunately, to put everything into it. But I think they do a very good job with Black Panther.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about Black Panther? Black Panther, to me, I do think this is one thing I'll say, that if you were to increase exposure, it would make sense. Black Panther can go with the cosmic gods of the world. My guy can fight street level. He can be an Avenger. You put him on the moon or Mars, and he's like, we're gonna win. Like, Black Panther, they could do a lot more with him and make him feel really good. And again, don't confuse that with what we've seen in 2018. Again, it's the core, the nucleus of the character. Did you capture the nucleus of the character upon their first solo entry? And that, to me personally, is one of the most important things when you get, an MCU type character like Ant-Man. That's the complete opposite end for me. A lot of people, Ant-Man, their first, experience with it, and I'm like, no, like, no. Yes, it's not Hank Pym, it's Scott Lang, but like, go read some Hank Pym, because people are like, no, Ant-Man's son. I'm like, no, Ant-Man does not suck.
Even Scott Lang, to be quite honest.
Scott Lang doesn't. That's kind of like an MCU thing. Captain Marvel, kind of an MCU thing. So I think that's just a testament, though, to go back to like how good and how much Ryan Coogler and team are so connected with the character and capturing the feel of the character to deliver something that, again, you don't need to have any background, but if you do have background, you're probably really satisfied with it.
100%. And Nate, to your point, him taking down zombie Thanos in Marvel Zombies, you see that moment and like no one questions that, because you are like, yes, Black Panther is capable of that. And then you see all the other things that they do in comics and in games with Black Panther, and you're like, yes, Black Panther would do that. Even if I've only ever seen the movie, yes, Black Panther would do that because he's that dang cool. You boot up Rivals, even though yes, it is a comic storyline, and you see that Wakanda's in space, and you're like, yeah, I can see a multiverse where that happens.
Yeah,
Wakanda is in space now, and I accept that, and that's awesome.
Listen, kudos again to the movie and the show before we move on. One quick thing, Your favorite part of the movie. Your favorite part of the movie. That's a loaded question. That's
There's a
loaded.
lot.
Okay, if you have a couple, then we'll just talk about it. It doesn't have to be just one.
I'm gonna be basic and say the Killmonger and Black Panther, like both being Black Panther fight. I guess the end fight.
Really good.
The
It's
train with the train going around and him telling Shuri to like activate the field so the suits go. It is really good. And I did want to bring up, as they're like falling down into like the train thing, that whole area reminds me of Infinity Castle from Demon Slayer because it just looks like so
Oh,
endless
dang.
and like kind of like a whole like just puzzle. I don't even know how to describe it, but if
Yeah,
you've seen
yeah.
Infinity Castle from Demon Slayer, you know what I'm talking about. And rewatching it, I'm like, whole Wakanda is crazy, man. Like they could build that.
Yeah.
They could build that shit themselves.
Dear Secret Invasion.
But yeah, that was definitely one of them. I think the introduction to Killmonger when he's stealing the art museum stuff is definitely up there to show
Dude, I never
how
noticed.
menacing he is.
I never noticed how many times he like looks at the coffee and talks about the coffee when the chick's drinking it and stuff. And I'm like, bro, like lay off the coffee. And I'm like, oh, she didn't know what she was putting in her body. Dang.
As Dylan says, the car chase scene. Yeah, that one was definitely. That one was
Bro,
awesome.
chase was
There's so many good scenes.
Car
So
chase was
many good
hype.
scenes. Even the ending of just him going to the like establishing the outreach and just with the little kids in the helicarrier, seeing like the Wakanda craft come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Is awesome to just show T'Challa's heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say honorable mention. I know we're focused on Black Panther, but I think they did a really, really, really good job with the Dora Milaje and Okoye. And I think Okoye was spot on. A little change with Nakia, but just that whole concept. And bro, she got down. Like when Claw's crew came into the little casino spot and she, rocking her wig and everything like that. And then he's just like, hey, and she's like, oh, give me your foot. It was yeah, dude, she's legit. She's legit. I love Okoye. I'm actually sad she didn't end up getting that show, but
she's awesome. That scene, honestly, the entire final, like, what is it, like 30 minutes of the movie when he when the ship crashes and he's like, as you can see, I am not dead. Like from that moment on, it's just like, oh yeah, this thing is gonna, it's just awesome. It's just awesome. Him taking down the rhino, Okoye fighting her husband. There's so many awesome scenes in it, that the car chase scene as well, the entirety of it,
dude,
Korea, awesome.
Underrated moment. And in watching this, I got vibes and just shades of on par with the beginning of Cap Winter Soldier when he's on the tanker. Well, bro, when he drops in on that convoy and then like throws like the little beads, knocks out the car power, and then just starts launching people. First off, I got spooked again when he's in the trees and they show the light. And then he just starts yeeting people all over the place, door handles to the face. And then she's like, no, not this one. He's young. And he's like, good, because I was about to cave his face in.
Yeah, he was not about to survive.
Bro, no. And that's the thing, though, where it's like the balance of Black Panther, where it's almost Batman like. I don't know. I might have said this the other day where, dude, it's kind of like No Guns, No Killing in a way, but he's like, but I'm going to break your bones. Like just night.
It's gonna hurt.
Dude, it's good. When you see Black Panther, you know that is a great way to put it. When you see Black Panther, it is going to hurt. And that is something that if you want to talk about comics and stuff, you see Black Panther, it is going to hurt. And he's choosing not to kill you, but it's going to hurt. And oh, by the way, he's like 10 steps ahead of you, but it's going to hurt.
And the funny thing is, like, he doesn't even really have a no kill rule, because I'm like, we really want to get down to it, like there's definitely some dead people. Again, like the car chase scene in Korea when he like just straight up blows up the car. Those guys aren't living through that.
No.
An imploded car from the top and then it flips, you're dead.
I thought about that too as I was watching, because I was just thinking about all the like hate Superman 2025 got for like the lack of civilian or just people like just disappearing or whatnot. Nobody cared for half these movies back then. That whole like Avengers destroying New
No.
York and Wakanda, or not Wakanda, T'Challa going around blowing up all these cars. They were literally driving through cars and like jumping on top of people's vehicles and in ongoing traffic.
He's slamming tires
Yeah.
with his claws. And it's just,
Yeah,
hey, douche.
Oh yeah, we just straight up
crazy.
rips that tire out. Like someone's got hurt.
Somebody
but-
got out of that tire.
But to be fair, I feel like he was in bloodline mode because he was chasing Claw.
Yes,
So I mean,
but like that extends to other people too in the movie because like Shuri when she comes out with I think Nakia when they first come out in that scene and Shuri just yeets that one guard into the vibranium hole. That man is dead. That man is not.
no, bro. They said cut. They're like cut. He's cut.
Like he's not getting back up from that.
No.
So it's just very interesting. And like you're saying, he was willing to kill Bucky. So I think if you get him angry enough, like you're not gonna live.
But that goes
time and a place.
But is that not fitting though? That is a decision. Like he can go one of two ways with that, but he always kind of like is around the nucleus. But he might be on one side or the other of it. It kind of depends. But damn, that's a great way to say it though. When you see Black Panther, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. It's too late. It's too late when you see him. If you see him, it's too late. It really is. Again,
that's how it should be. That's how it should be. That's a hero, y'all.
What a great character. And I think a very fitting way to end this before we do talk about the other topic we have is to talk about Chadwick for 1 second, just because I think I know a lot of people talk about it, but genuinely, and I know we've said it already, what a great casting. And his passing is genuinely, I think, one of the more tragic passings out there, because I remember a lot of people, there were some pictures circulating around. I think it was probably like close to a year before he passed, of him looking a lot skinnier, a lot more frail, and people were like making fun of him. People were like, "Oh, that's Black Panther," like not knowing what was going on. And so many people just assumed so many different things, and it was just really nasty to see. And then people, once they realized, and once his passing came out, to know that he was going through that, and for nobody to know really except his close family, I still think is incredibly powerful thing and message in our time. Like, I know sometimes we get lost with like celebrities and things, and I'm not gonna defend celebrities on here, and because you never know with anybody these days, but
True.
Sometimes they're people too. Not sometimes, they are people, and just know not everybody's bad. And I think for T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, that one was impactful in many different ways.
Yeah.
I was watching a interview at the gym today before this with him just talking about kind of like the impact of Black Panther, and he was going on a story about how two kids that he knew had cancer and were terminally ill, and just kind of broke down in the interview just about how they told him that their families told them that they're just like holding out and hoping they had enough time to go see the movie. And in the middle of the interview, Chadwick, like, had to pause and started breaking down crying. And it's just crazy to think about that, like, knowing what he was going through back then and how, like, him speaking about that and making it about the kids versus obviously bringing his own stuff out and keeping that hidden. He was a hero outside of being Black Panther. I thought that interview, that was definitely was a sad one to watch.
Yeah,
Y'all getting me choked up on the first video for Canon Shift.
I know.
Oh.
It's true though. I mean, just seeing and like hearing how people talk about him in interviews. Again, watch that Wakanda Forever making of, you'll see like he affected so many people. And then even some of the more recent stuff that Ryan Coogler has come out and talked about him, just like how much he impacted the people's lives that were around him. It's truly beautiful, I think, to see, because again, with how celebrities are, especially nowadays, and all the real life stuff that's coming out about certain people, um, a lot can be bad. But then when you truly see someone who is good, it sucks to see. And I remember him passing, and when I was collecting comics, like again, so many like I think it was like a good month or two. I think it was almost maybe even 3 months as books were coming out. And I know all Marvel books did this. They had a rest in peace Chadwick Boseman like a little banner above the main cover. So for that's a big thing to happen. Even so much so that Todd McFarlane gave him an homage cover in for Spawn. It was incredible. It was very nice to see.
Dude, it like makes me gulp and pause like every time I come across one of those. And I'm reading, I go back and read something, and like I don't expect it, and I see it, and like, damn.
Yeah, because I think really the only other one they did something like that for was Stan Lee when Stan Lee passed.
Yeah.
That was the only other time I can remember them doing something like Marvel Comics doing a big tribute thing like that. They've always done tribute things, but most of the time it's more inside the comics, and they're like, hey, remembering such and such artist or such and such creator. But for it to be on the main cover, like you see it on every single book, it didn't matter what book it was. Again, just shows you the impact of the person, I think.
Yeah. Hey man, rest in power. I hope this time next year, we still talk about this movie in the same way, and that's great. It's great.
Yeah. I think 9 years, 16 years, 20 years from now, I still think we'll look back on this movie and be like, yeah, this movie is sick. And I honestly think will stand the test of time forever and will be one of those classics like we'll be telling our grandkids about. They'd be like, hey, you know what movie you should watch, young, and go watch Black Panther.
Yeah.
Come watch Black Panther with Grandpa really quick.
Yeah. I'll watch it forever. Shout out to FX when it's on every other Thursday. But gents, do we want to talk about the next topic here on Canon Shift?
Yeah. Before Miles, what Dylan said about Miles, I forgot about that too. I'm having a whole mural, which was really cool. Really cool. But yeah, let's talk about this next topic.
All right. Well, a lot of you have probably seen right now there is a sweeping conversation going on in the superhero world that is pertaining to if you're a comic book movie fan or if you're a comic book fan, which one's true, which one's real, which one matters more, which one's the true fan, the true superhero fan. And I think you're probably seeing some things circulate specifically from this particular podcast that
Call them out.
Dude, I don't even, I'm not, listen, there's one thing here that I'm shifting. I'm not giving light to the people I don't agree with. So no, their names will not be coming out of my mouth because I personally think it was a foolish statement to make and for them to agree to, but we'll talk about it here. But Hero, just go ahead. Just go ahead, man. It makes like I feel like I'm sweating already, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting hot.
In case you guys didn't see the video, and we won't name who they are, but you go look up superhero debate right now on TikTok, and I'm sure you'll find out who it is. Very popular podcast. Don't know why, but they are. And in it, they talk about how, particularly the guest of the podcast, it seems like, of this particular episode was like, I don't like, per his words, I don't like how comic book fans feel like this sense of entitlement because they know more. And it makes them feel like they are a better person or a bigger fan. And they then go on to say, like, I think that first part was definitely understandable, but then I think the part that they might have shot themselves in the foot in was they then go on to say that, hey, just because you know a lot about the character and the history of the character doesn't mean you know the character, which has now sparked a whole debate about, like Lou said, who is actually the real comic book fan. So gents, I'm going to ask you guys this question because this is something we've talked about. I know internally we've talked about this before. Do you feel like reading comic books and watching superhero movies, do you think that there is a difference in the fan base? And if it exists, what is that difference? Where can we draw that line?
Spider Breed, I'm giving you first crack at this one, man.
So, my take on this is you can, at the end of the day, it's just a term of superhero fans. If you read comics and if you read comics, you watch the movies, you like superheroes and you like comics. If you just watch the movies or shows and don't read comics, you're a superhero fan. But you can't say you're a comic book fan if you're not reading comics. And I think I know not everybody has the time to read, and for most of my life, I didn't really read a lot of comics. But I'm not going to go around just because I started reading comics recently and getting into them a lot more over the last like 4 or 5 years. I don't think I'm more knowledgeable with anyone, especially with Spider-Man. There's still a lot of Spider-Man. As much as I have the tattoo and say I'm a huge Spidey fan, there's still a lot of shit I don't know about the character and storylines I haven't read. But that doesn't make me feel any better or less than somebody who does or doesn't know whatever they know about Spidey. Because at the end of the day, we're both Spider-Man fans, and I think it definitely helps when it comes to like theory crafting. But then, as we know with Secret Invasion, if you're a huge fan of Secret Invasion comics,
Ooh.
you're not going to be if you're a fan of the show after the comics. I teach their own, but two, I think that's a perfect example of people that just watch the show. They might want to go read the comic after and then realize that the comic was so much better or could have been like so much better. Then for us who have known about like Secret Invasion storyline and then getting the show, it's like, what the heck is this? Like we've been joking around about for the last like 2 to 3 years. So there is a fine line, but just my final thing is just don't be a dick about it. If you know everything about comics and you've read every single freaking main continuity storyline, just because somebody watched Black Panther and me who has never read any other Black Panther before, don't be a dick and say that I don't know Black Panther, which I mean I don't, but you don't gotta be mean about it, essentially. So the people that do that type of stuff is what annoys me when it comes to like comic fans and stuff. Because I'm willing to learn more if they want to shoot me up a storyline or recommend storylines. Recommend them, but don't be like, "Oh, you've never read Black Panther? What the hell? Like, are you even a superhero fan?" Like, no, I like the freaking movie. So I have a lot of friends that are literally just straight up MCU fans and don't like most of the friends I see movies with, that I take to go see at like every premiere, or not premiere, but every showing we go to, they don't really read comics whatsoever. And they still like the movies, but just because I've been trying to like Superman, for example, last year, we've read a lot of Superman and Fantastic Four. I was always like trying to bring up like how cool like adaptations were as we watched the movie to enhance their experience. But do they care about it? Maybe, maybe not. It's just kind of there to help out a little bit. Certain storylines may not be people may not like interpretations, but like adapted from comics. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, damn, I was doing really good. I don't know how to finish that off. At the end of the day, there's a fine line, and just don't be a dick about it. Essentially, just treat other fans with respect, and boom. But don't go and say all these bogus claims that if you don't read comics, you're not a superhero fan. And if you do read comics, that you are better than like every single person that doesn't, or does.
I well said, by the way. Well said.
Yeah.
I don't think I can say anything any better than that, SB. I agree. Because even us, like, if you knew us from our previous life, and you're going to see if you follow along with us here, but please subscribe because we have a lot of good things coming. It's a blend, right? And we're all superhero fans. And for a lot of us, superhero, that's our mythology. That's what we find for enjoyment. That's what we lean onto when the day is tough. That's however you consume that, like the core, we can all kind of say we are superhero fans. Again, if this is a trivia game and you're just like, well, I scored higher on my test than you, it's like, okay, like, sure. I can say from personal experience, I've gone through the MCU only, I've gone through the anime, I've gone through them all. Like, I have kind of shifted around the world of these fandoms, and there's a nasty side to all fandoms. Like, I don't care what it is. Like, there's just a gross side to it. And you're just, but again, like, if that's what you're getting, those are not your people, right? If you get turned off by that, those are not your people. People like us are your people, because even the SP's point and what we just talked about with Black Panther, if I've read more Black Panther than SB, and SB is like, this is why I like T'Challa, I'm like, boom, you got it, man. You know T'Challa. You take you take all the knowledge that a reader has, and I think if you like that about T'Challa, I do recommend these books to you, because you're going to get a similar feel and take that story on and just go on the ride with it. And you're just going to fall deeper and deeper in love with Wakanda and T'Challa and all the fun stuff, because there isn't another Black Panther movie right now. And I think that's the big thing for me. The MCU is so limited in scope. There's only so much that it can do. I don't care what it is. The movie only has so much time. There's only so much Thanos. There's only so much Ultron. There's only so much Cap and Iron Man. For as much Cap and Iron Man as we've gotten, to continue to live with these characters, go to your anime or animation. Oh, kind of anime. Go to your games. Go to your comics. Read, watch, explore all these, because there's so many great takes on these characters to fill you as the superhero fan. But I can't down with gatekeepers, man. People that are like, well, you didn't understand the movie because you don't understand Superman. You didn't understand the movie because you didn't understand Batman. Oh, well, guess what, Mr. or Mrs. Whoever, I'm talking about the movie, right? That's like, that's what I'm like, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just don't think you should turn people off. And the more we read and the more demand there is for this stuff, the better creations there's going to be. And I think right now this conversation is unnecessarily dividing people to kind of, I could be wrong, but almost give that like, oh, you can't enter, like, you know, like no boys or girls allowed club. Like, you can't get in. Like, what's the password? And it's like, issue number 5. And they're like, you didn't read it. Can't get in here. Yeah. Or, I love, you know, I don't know, dude, freaking Wonder Man. I spent so much dang time reading Wonder Man for no AF reason. The show was just a show, and there were some core things that carried over, but dog, the show was a show. My guy is white in the books. I'm sorry. Like, just that alone, it ain't getting the same thing. They're just differences. So again, to SP's point, don't be a dick about it, because there are entry-level books. There are entry movies into the MCU. No, don't watch Civil War first. Go watch freaking Iron Man 1 first, and then let's work our way up there. It goes both ways.
For sure. For sure. And well said as well. And I think what ends up happening when these types of discussions end up popping up is that there is a certain level of nuance that I think just gets thrown out the window completely by both sides. Incredibly by both sides. Because I completely agree with you guys 100%. Don't be a jerk about these things. Like, we have to remember that there are so many entryways into the fandom of superheroes, whether it be games, whether it be movies, whether it be shows, whether it be comics. There are so many entryways. If whatever one you pick is perfectly fine, it is perfectly fine. And that is awesome. And I think more people need to be more accepting of that, that Marvel Rivals probably made you a bigger comic fan because you want to know more about certain characters that maybe don't have adaptations of shows yet.
Baseball
moved.
Pete, baby.
Exactly, you know.
Comment, I swear.
One day, season 84.
Yeah.
But you know, like there's so many entryways, and I think more people need to accept that, especially the comic book fans, because I think they're like, if you don't read the comics, then you suck, and it's like, no, that's not how that works. It's really not, because at times, and I genuinely am a firm believer that even though comics are my preferred medium to enjoy these, it can be confusing. It can be daunting to just jump into one because you want to jump in, and it's like, oh well, issue 8 is technically out, but if you read issue 1 from like 5 years ago, that kind of doesn't work. So read issue 78 from this run, and people are like, what?
They be changing the numbers around mid runs
They
too,
do.
like with the Fantastic Four run. I remember getting so
100%.
confused with the what was the one we did for the one with Doom, Sorcerer Doom? The Untouchable,
Yeah.
Unthinkable. It goes from like 67 to 70 and then like 480. So it's just like, so imagine somebody seeing that and being like, I have to read so much for this storyline, and then boom, they're just turned off immediately
Exactly.
without actually doing the research that they just changed the number system.
The thing I will say about comics, though, as someone who personally, and again, I will be the absolute first person to be like, I regretfully stepped away from comics for a very long time, and I
Me too.
dove headfirst into the MCU, and I can tell you the exact movie and the day and time to where I was like, what am I doing? Because I love these so much. I'm getting so deep into the MCU that I was just so blind and so jaded for so long of like, this is the peak. This is it. Everything else is garbage. And when people are like, yeah, but you know, strange this and strange that, and I'm like, it ain't the MCU, kick rocks. But when you stop and even trying to get back into it, it did feel a little intimidating to get back into comics like full time of I'm consuming it, you know, like that is my daily thing to do. And full transparency, it was more of a recent thing. I'm not even gonna lie, because the gents know. And it took me a second to even find resources to be like, where the hell do I start? Like, I know this is the character I want to read, but then you look and there's this laundry list of runs or issues or writers, and you're like, what does this even mean? And they're like,
Green
oh,
Lantern,
right,
Darkest, that whole Green Lantern, Darkest before I am butchering the name, the Darkest Night, Brightest
Blackest
Day.
Night.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that reading order is intimidating.
but
These people with decision paralysis, it's a little tough. It's a little tough out there.
it is. But the cool thing, I think, and it goes both ways, about I think it's a little bit easier and more accessible for the MCU, but for comics, there are too many people on this planet, y'all. There are good people, good resources, and good groups of people who will be like, hey, I'll take the time to just make this a little bit easier. This is probably where I recommend these are resources you can use, and you spend a little bit more time with it, like with anything, and you're like, oh, okay, makes sense. I watch soccer on freaking Saturday mornings. No clue what offsides is, no clue what that means. Why are they showing cards? Next thing you know, you get a couple buddies or friends or something. They're like, oh, yeah, this is it. And you're just like, well, that should have been a red card. That should have been this.
Yeah.
That should, like, it's with anything, y'all. It's just, it feels a little more intimidating for comics, but I think that is more of an incorrect perception than, you know, that's the exception, not the rule. And my last thing I'll say on this, social media, I think, magnifies that by a millionfold, because you'll be on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, even Facebook, and you'll have the bigger people that are like, they rule the world with it. And they're like, oh, this run sucks. Like, nah, Zeb Wells this and Dan Slott that and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I have no clue who those people are, but guess what? I'm not going to read Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not necessarily true, y'all. A lot of history, even though comics are still young. That's the wild thing that I just want to put out there. People make it seem like it's as old as like freaking Greece, ancient Greece. Y'all, comics started in the 30s for the most part and almost failed a gajillion times. It's not really that old. There are people who are older than comic books that are still walking this planet.
Yeah. If you really want to put it in perspective, then the Marvel we know now is started in the 60s.
60s.
Like, that's not that long ago when you really want to put it into the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I think just people need to be more accepting of the newer fan that wants to try to get into these things. And I think instead of berating them, guide them, show them where to start, because that's the way people truly learn. That's how they become bigger and bigger comic fans, when you give them the more easily digestible things, when you give them the things that they can read and be like, "Ooh, I like that. What else can I like try to read that's similar to that?" Maybe it's a different character, maybe it's not, maybe it's the same character. And
Yeah.
that's cool. And we also have to remember that I think certain heroes, and then I'll get to the flip side of this conversation too, why I think the other side is negative. But certain heroes transcend comic books. SB Spider-Man, I think, has gotten so far beyond comics that like you can be a Spider-Man fan and never touch a Spider-Man book.
Yep.
Like ever in your life, and be like, I like Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. And that's perfectly fine. And I think people need to accept that. That like, yeah, you can be that with Spider-Man. You can be that with Batman. You can be that with Superman. Some of these characters that have had like a lot of adaptations just absolutely transcend the comic book realm. So I think to sit there and then be like, you can't accept that, I think is a little silly. And to call them lesser of a fan for it, no, absolutely not. However, in my personal opinion, and on the flip side, and where I think certain non-comic readers get a little bit too hurt about this, is that there is levels to this. There really is. Yes, if someone reads more comics than you, does that make them a bigger comic fan or a bigger fan of certain characters? Absolutely. If you liked Moon Knight, going back to that example from the MCU, cool, great, you are a Moon Knight fan. But is there bigger Moon Knight fans than you because they read the comic? Absolutely. There absolutely is. And that's okay though. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And the way I see it is kind of like any other thing you do in the world. Like, if you work out just to be healthy, are you going to compare yourself to a bodybuilder who does it for literal professional reasons? No, you cannot. There's levels to this. I think this is the same thing. And I think people get hurt about that sometimes. They see that and then they're like, oh, well, you just think you're better than me. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. And I think going back into particular this clip from this podcast, that's what they're kind of inferring, is that certain people think that every comic is good, and that is just so far from the truth. I
No,
mean,
no.
I can tell you books of some of my favorite characters that I thought was just absolute trash.
Dog.
And I can guarantee you 98% of your comic book fans can tell you certain comics of those characters are butt. So where they get that argument from, I don't know. I don't know.
I think the overall thing with that conversation too, to where I was like what? Is when you're like, you may read more, but I can know the character more. And I'm like, no. No, because again, this is the source. Is it a one-to-one adaptation? No. However, your source is the source. If you know the source better, you may have a better shot in inferring what a writer and director and creative team is going to do for something that is live action or animated. You can probably predict a little bit more. I'm not saying that people for sure will, but on the surface level, looking at this, if I know more about a character, I'm probably going to know more about the character. And that's just kind of that simple, in my opinion.
100%. 100%. And I think people forget that. And then again, going back to that point, they get hurt about that. And then they use the gatekeeping accusation against comic book fans. And I think that's just not something you can do. For example, and I'll I'm not going to say their name, but you look at that very same podcast and you see some things that they talk about, and you're like, where are you getting this from? And then they'll sit there and say, I've actually never read X character's comic before. You're right. I've never read anything, but I know that that XYZ. It's like, how can you sit there and say that when you haven't read that material?
And then go on to promote Marvel Unlimited.
And then go exactly, and then go on to promote the very same thing that they just don't read.
The most uninspiring video to ever watch that doesn't make you want to actually read comics at all.
No, it's like there's this weird.
Or get invited to a premiere that you don't know the date for.
I didn't know this was coming out, actually.
Dude.
So I don't know. It's just that weird backwards thinking of they get called out on their crap about not knowing something, and they're like, no, I do know, look. And then you're like, okay, well, did you read the actual thing? And I'm not at this point, I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about so many other creators who are like, I know about this, I'm the expert. And you're like, claim X it was actually shown here. Oh, I've never read that.
And that is my bigger thing with this, though, is my prime example of this, and I think you see more of this than not, especially on social media. And Marvel, I don't know why you really invite these people to your stuff, but they're out here and they're like, 2 + 2 is 5. I'm going to tell you why. Let's talk about it. And I'm like, dog, it's 4. Like, it's literally 4. And they're like, no, hang on. 6, 7, 8. And everyone's like, cook. And I'm like, no, but it's just 4. Like, why are we doing it? Like, it's just, guys, it's just 4. And they're like, you think you're better than me? And I'm like, no, I'm showing you the answer.
Are you gatekeeping? Are you really gatekeeping right now, bro? Can't believe you're calling yourself better than me, like a bigger comic fan.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
Yeah,
you suck.
Hey, real quick, guys, I'm gonna drop the canon shift bomb. Cap's racist.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man. Good God Almighty.
Huh?
Here's a book disproving that. Oh, I never read that.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that one existed. Okay. That's for me where I'm like, I just think that's fundamentally the type of fans we are and the type of people that we are. Like, if we make listen, there are theories and there are wild theories and there are like, I have no support. This is just kind of how I feel, right? Do your own thing, but this is how I feel. But when I take my opinion and I want to deliver it to you as fact, that's where we're talking about. I'm like, that's not the one.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I think, to your point, because we're all online, we are going to consume that type of content. We're going to consume video essays explaining characters that maybe we don't know a whole lot about. We're going to consume video essays talking about the new comics of the week. And I don't actually read it, though. And again, that's okay if you want to consume it that way. That's perfectly fine. But again, there's levels to this. So if you then say something that is just wrong because you heard X content creator talk about it and I call you out, it's not the same. You can't say that. And then I think to that point too is that, like, even if you never pick up a comic and you're like, and you're okay with that fact, but then you say something that's just plain wrong and you try to base your opinion on that, but people try to widen your scope and you're just closed off because you don't want to explore that medium, I then also think that's on you. Again, using the character that I know just most recent, Moon Knight, like I said, if you say that Moon Knight is comic accurate and someone tells you, no, he's not, but you're like, yes, he is. I saw the show and I explained to you why, you cannot be upset about that.
And then that goes back to the thing with the whole thing with Black Panther. Like, when you have that and you're like, I think you're missing a couple pieces here. Here's why. And you're not open-minded enough to be like, okay, maybe there is more to this character that I might have missed. I really enjoyed what I liked here, but it sounds like there's another, again, level to this character. Yeah, that stuff matters. Here, I got a question for you, specifically. I think there are 2 things, and I think this would be good for people kind of watching, because, if this conversation has kind of piqued your interest to be like, maybe I should be reading more. I don't know kind of what's going on. Maybe I don't want to. there's two things that I think turn people off, and it's when people hear, "Hey, this character is," or "This is the definitive run for a character." What does that kind of mean for people? Because there's so many different people who have hands on these characters who have tried to write them and all that kind of stuff. Like in Moon Knight, for example, right? There's what, decades worth of Moon Knight, but people have kind of landed in the community on maybe the definitive run that shows, this is Moon Knight, right? Well, just talk to us a little bit about kind of like what that means for you.
I think for me, definitive does a few things. It provides a good entry point for new readers and old readers, and I think expands upon that lore in a fun way while still staying true to the character. That's, in my opinion, what definitive versions are, or definitive runs. And most of the definitive runs that people talk about do exactly that. I think about Jeff Johns on Green Lantern, how he took a very good entry point in bringing back Hal Jordan. So now you can jump on into that. And then he had this long spanning saga that did a bunch of new stuff for the character, forward the lore of Green Lanterns in that world, and then ended it in a very nice way and just did a lot of cool stuff. I think most of the time that's what you're gonna get. I think people view it as intimidating because maybe sometimes they get maybe midway into some of that, or to your point, they see a character with a lot of history, and that's it. That can be daunting to tackle. Being like, I want to read Green Lantern, but Green Lantern's been around for freaking ever. So how do I really know if I really want to start that when I see that this has this 60 issue run? Do I want to put that kind of time into it? And I think that's maybe what turns some people off about them sometimes. But I truly think when you hear people say it's a definitive or like a really good run, do your research. Do your research. Look around, ask around, really, too, because I think people will give you good answers as to if you should read it. Sometimes, again, you hear, because of social media, and especially now TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and how many people actually give their opinion on stuff, you're going to hear a lot of people say a lot of different things
Yeah.
about it. But if you start hearing it more than once, if you hear, hey, Jeff Johns on Green Lantern's awesome, Jeff Johns on Green Lantern's awesome, you should probably read it. Even if someone says, hey, I think it's overrated. Well, if it's overrated, let me see maybe why.
Why?
Or let me come to my own conclusion.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
overrated, or is it actually right up my alley and what I want in a superhero?
Yeah. Yeah. I think just to sum that up, I mean, it's kind of like lead with curiosity, especially for these characters. And you're curious about the characters and you watch, keep going. Did I freeze or did you guys freeze?
No, you're good.
Oh, no, I'm good. Yeah, I think a really good example to that, and SB, just to follow up on that, how did you feel about kind of doing that for Superman, who's literally one of the longest, if not the longest standing superhero of all time, to go through and kind of explore that?
That was a great time. It made me like the movie even more, and kind of just learning about the character. Even Fantastic Four, getting into them while prepping for that movie. Even Century with Thunderbolts. They all just helped me enhance the experience. And oh man, a year ago today we did that video, can Thunderbolts pull it off, with the Void, because we were reading a lot of Century at the time, and doing all that research and prep was like, could they pull it off? And seeing that they actually did pull it off, phenomenal. It made it so much better. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm in the top. I'm in the change. It's true change now.
Sorry, man.
And just knowing all of that and reading, enhancing my experience, I liked it. I think it definitely helps. There's still a ton more Superman stuff I have to read, like Birthright and Secret Origin and Up in the Sky, that I have over here, that next time if I do read those and watch Superman 2025 again or any other Superman, I might pick up some other stuff that I maybe not have picked up before.
Yeah. And I think to that point, well, I think you're such a cool example of how falling in love with a character works. Because I think even before
Fall
we,
so many characters, it's crazy.
you do, you really do.
So easily, or
But
not. It's so many. It's just like once I do fall in love with one, I'm attached to it for a while.
You are, which is awesome though. But to your point, Superman. I remember when we did the Who is Superman, and you're just like, yeah, he's not really like my thing anymore, or he never had really been your thing up
Yeah,
until
dude,
that point.
3
And then
years
you
ago,
read him.
Brando knew nothing about Superman.
Yeah,
Literally, before we started, like when we were starting Point3 at the time, I genuinely didn't. Man of Steel and maybe one other Superman movie was the only background I had.
yeah, yeah. And you learn to fall in love with that character. And I think Rome's, to your point, because certain comics aren't limited in certain ways, right? I think there is certain limitations that they do have, unfortunately. But because they're not in like that same movie budget, they can let that story breathe. You fall in love with the character in so many different ways. And I think SB, again, you're the perfect example of Superman between For All Seasons, Kingdom Come. I can't remember the other stuff we read right now, but I don't know if like those would be stories you would be interested in on your own, but then you read them and you just fall in love with them. And now you gain this new appreciation for the character that you probably wouldn't have had before, and not just in the movie, but in general.
I'll say Superman Red and Blue too. That one was amazing.
I always think
That
of you
one
for
was
that one. I
so
always think of
amazing.
you.
I read that on the plane to meet you guys.
Yeah.
I cooked through. I've never read a comic in one day. I mean, it was only like 260 pages, so it's not like a beefy one. But I've never went through just full straight comic in like one session like that. That was beautiful. That had me hooked the entire time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, no.
honestly, I fell in love with it so much more with that. It's just one story that could truly make you fall in love with someone.
And the funny thing
Character.
is, you sought that one out. And I don't think either one of us had read that before.
No.
You sought that out and you recommended that to us, and which made us then really like that story too. So it's
I
just
gotta read the 2025 one that I got a couple weeks ago. Still, they did like
Mhm.
a new edition, or it might have been 2026. They did a new edition recently of some more stories that I picked up. I got to get into it.
yeah. So now you're actively seeking that out. So it's just again to that point, and that's why I think, in my opinion, comics are king. Not because they make you better, not because they give you more knowledge, but I just think they allow you to feel more. They allow you to feel more things. They allow you to really see what these characters are like outside of the limitations of what the big screen does. And I think sometimes it's just a mind shift for people that they need to do, in the sense of like, I think we, because of social media and because of the hype that the MCU had for ages, we view live action as the highest possible honor for
Yeah.
these heroes. And I think we have to get out of that mindset and be like, that doesn't necessarily mean that. I think there are so many stories that may never get a proper on screen adaptation and are better than 90% of the MCU. And I think people need to learn how to accept that and not view live action superheroes as just the be all end all. I think when we can really change that mindset, that's when people will really understand where comic book fans come from better, I think.
Yeah. And just to that point too, I think it is a generational thing. Like even if you think about Black Panther, you could have seen Black Panther when you were 10 and now you're 18. Those are two completely different people. And at least for me growing up, like my entry point in the superheroes wasn't comic, even though I had an older sibling who was very much in that realm, and I had family who's in that realm. For me, my love was Saturday morning cartoons. Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, Justice League, X-Men, like 90s cartoons were the thing for me that got me into it. And that got me into my first initial comic book series, and it actually happened to be with the X-Men. Probably shouldn't have been reading at that point, but it was X-Men. And I don't think you really have that now. So this whole battle between, comic book movies versus comic books, like for me, I just think reading in general across the board, I don't care if it's a comic or not. And that's a whole different conversation of people being like, you're reading a comic book, you're not really reading. No, it's like, stop. Reading does something different and immerses you differently and expands you differently than just watching, which now most people just watch these freaking movies and shows on TikTok and stuff. Like they're not even going to the theater.
Yeah. And that's that going back to that, that's the issue that I think certain people have, where it's like they see the TikTok video that X creator made and they're like, I am now an expert on Black Panther. I now know everything because I saw a 3-minute video talking about it. And you're like, no, it's just not how that works. And I think you just have to read to really understand why that is the case. Not because it's trying to make anyone better. It's really not. I just think you are able to have a different type of experience. And until you have that experience, it's lost on trying to explain it. Not because people are stupid or anything like that. No, it's just hard to explain how that connection from page to mind really is until you experience that. Until you're reading a book that you're like, oh my God, I never thought I would love something like this. And then you watch it and then you're like, oh my God, I freaking love this. I love this character. This character is now a top 5 for me. I now love them. It's just very interesting. And I think to Lou's point, I think again, going back to how many gateways there are, animation's such a big one. And I think I look at X-Men 97 as another very good example of an entry point for people. SB, I think you're muted, bro.
I was gonna say Rivals too, just literally adding comics to the game and then making Rivals comics. It's awesome. The amount of people that have been interested has been amazing.
Yeah, it's on like issue 30 now, and just the amount of lore that you really get out of it that goes from game to comic and comic to game, it just gives you this different appreciation sometimes. And I like I said, I think until you read it, it's really, you don't get it fully. So does reading comics make you better? No, does not make you a better fan. It might bring you to a different level of fandom, but it doesn't make you better. Just be nice about it.
But it does make you better. But it doesn't make you better.
Agreed.
Read, y'all. Read, watch, consume all of it. I mean, we'll sit here and talk about every single nook and cranny of it.
For real. And that's what we're gonna do from now on. Really. That's why we've changed the name. That's why we've rebranded. So for those that missed it, we are now Canon Shift. No longer Point3. Point3 is dead. Killed. Gone. No, in all honesty, we love the name. But Canon Shift, we're going to be talking about literally everything superhero fandom wise. So be on the lookout for that. Comics, games, shows, movies, all of it. This is not an outro. This is just a fact.
Ooh.
I was gonna say, dude.
Ooh. I like that.
Keep them waiting. Keep them waiting. Keep them waiting. Keep them waiting. Don't give it all yet. Just little sprinkles in. right now. How hard is it to break that habit of saying point 3? It's been kind of hard for me. I can't. I keep saying
it's
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, channel.
But let us know real quick, y'all. What do you guys want us to talk about? What are some things that you guys are talking about? Like, what do you want to see? Let us know. The more you tell us, the better off it's going to be, because we appreciate you guys being here, especially on the first episode for Canon Shift, or the first video for Canon Shift. So let us know. SP.
Also, we had you guys do the name feedback for the Hall of Point 3 when we named the Discord server. Any suggestions for a new Canon Shift Discord, which obviously is still going to be a thing? Just changed all the logos and everything away from Point 3. Any name suggestions for the server would be appreciated too.
It will be appreciated. Nate, don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Don't you worry. But yeah, in all honesty, everybody, let us know what you want us to talk about. Genuinely, sky's the limit. Anything. Cannon breakers.
Ooh, that's a cool one.
Ooh.
That's a cool one. I still like. I'm still gonna. I'm gonna pose out here, shift space, and see what people feel like. I'm just gonna leave it at that, because I still like that a lot.
I'm a fan. Dang. All right, RIP. Give the people the final look at the Point 3 logo there, SP. The final look.
Oh, my God, I'm sure. I was like, where do you see it right now? I forgot. I was
RIP.
RIP.
RIP. Rest in power, shirt. You've been good. On the bigger and better things.
Yeah. Throw the Canon Shift logo up really quick.
Let's see.
So people that missed it at first can see it again really quick. And just so I can look at it again, because I think
dang,
really nice.
I've been staring at the logo this whole time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Our banner as well.
Love it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we have a personal chat, like in
also this
text.
background too.
We have a personal text in chat, and I can't stop looking at the logo in our little circle bubble thing.
That one I don't have on here yet.
It's okay. Wait to show
that
them that one. That one's for us for now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
There's a secondary logo out there, everybody. That we'll give you guys soon. Don't worry. We'll give you guys soon. Rankings. Yes, we do want to do more rankings. We definitely do. It's just been, those are a little more time consuming to do. And I think I speak for all three of us, where between trying to do the rebrand and then just the past few months have been busy. So busy. So we just haven't had the time, but it's coming. It's coming. It's definitely coming. We do want to do rankings. The Canon, steal it from Miguel O'Hara. I don't want to steal it from Miguel O'Hara because he'll choke slam me.
Dude, I already got freaking Moreland coming after me. I don't want another spider totem.
Yeah, I don't want to steal anything from that.
Moreland goes to Point 3 and not Canon Shift at this point.
That's right. The spider will save you.
I was gonna say, will Moreland still go after you? Because he's gonna be like, oh, those Point 3 people died.
Nah, bro, just Canon Shift through them. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we Canon Shift through them. Book clubs. We do want to do a book club, and it actually, it is something that we did pose before on Point 3. Again, we had it, the idea for it. Life got stupid busy, and it didn't happen. So, but that is something we want to do, and that will probably be a Discord exclusive thing. I think we were throwing around like a potential Discord call or Zoom meeting or something like that once a month to talk about the book, exclusive for Discord members. Again, completely free, by the way. No payment or anything. So join us on Discord. Yeah, we do want to do that. So just give us some time. That's something we probably are going to set up relatively soon, I would say. Right, guys?
Yeah.
What yet? We don't know, but
the ball will be dropping on a lot of things. And again, that's like a big reason why we wanted to drop the podcast portion of this, because when we put that stuff out there, like, it just got filtered into just weird places, and the visibility kind of sucked.
Yeah.
So again, like, we want it for you guys too, not just us. Like, we love talking about this. There's so much more we can do. So soon. Like when we say soon, it's not like 6 months soon. Like soon is like the dominoes are falling now. We're just literally you're tipping them over, and like they are still like as we are on this, things are still in the works. Um, so I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited for us. I think it's gonna be really cool. This is a massive year. Like this is still a massive year, and our rebrand is really exciting. But like, y'all, we are like a month and a week away from Daredevil and the Invincible time. Oh, I
And the
mean,
boys.
what we talking about,
I was
y'all?
gonna say the weekly watch parties will be there as well. With
Yeah.
that.
Spider Brando
I
exclusive.
will definitely be hosting. I don't care what it takes. I'll be hosting them.
For sure. Guys, and we don't kid when he says that. He does host them. We're all there.
I did the whole Wonder Man binge one night. It was a great time with everybody. So
It was. Yeah, Rome's the first year is rough, and I think we've been at this now again going on 3. And as 3 guys who do this part-time for fun while still having a family and jobs, I think we've really nailed and tuned down what works for us and what doesn't. Which is another big reason for the change as well. So hopefully, and I think we can say that we've ironed those kinks out and we know the roadmap for us. And Nate, that's actually kind of why we wanted to do it around this time in this kind of lull of a period for content where like things are about to start ramping up and we can really find ways to connect everything together between all the mediums that we love. So like when X-Men comes, we'll be talking about some X-Men comics. And when Daredevil, we'll probably be talking about some Daredevil stuff. So Devil's Reign. I know you love Devil's Reign.
Just reread it.
Expect many things like that to where we'll connect it back to the comics and many other things. But again, that's why we wanted to do it now before things really hit the fan, because it's between Doomsday, Daredevil, Spider-Man, like things are about to pick up very, very fast.
Supergirl, just also throwing this out there.
Yeah.
The comic, highly, highly, highly recommend it. I would love to do a book club for that.
Yeah. I think that was on the short list for ones we were gonna do.
Yeah, it was.
Age of Apocalypse. Yeah, we can definitely try to find some time. I know that's a bigger event, but we'll try to find a way to talk about it because Apocalypse is going to be a big part of it. So we kind of have to, in some way, talk about Apocalypse. So yeah, all this is going to be stuff that we want to talk about. And again, expect certain things that we've done before, but additions to it and different presentations as well.
Yeah. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
We mean that. We mean that. We mean that. I promise you, we some of you guys know, a lot of you are in here. Like we have our conversations with just us and your guys' names come up, I promise. And in the most positive, like grateful way of like, you guys have been with us, for a while now. Some of you for the course of 3 years. And like, that means something to us to not drop this or continue it on and just enhance it for everybody. Because again, like we were saying, like the community like this, let's just let it grow, and the more fans we can get that are positive. And we have great conversations on Discord, by the way. If you're seeing this and you're not on Discord, like I look forward to the stuff that drops because it's just good conversation that deepens knowledge. And you guys say stuff that I don't know, and I like looking it up, and I'm like, oh dang, okay, now I got to come back with some heat. No, I'm just kidding.
No, genuinely though, like the times that we get into like these discussions, they're not even arguments, but just discussions about like deeper things and what we would love to see. It goes deep, and like I know for myself, like if I'm at work and these things are happening, I'm not getting as much work done. Like things are getting done if I'm really invested in what we're talking about. And most of the time it's really good stuff. It's really, really good stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I feel like I'm missing something that we wanted to say that would be a part of the change as well. I just can't remember it right now.
I mean, I think we covered. I think the big one is just more stuff on Discord. more Discord exclusive things will be really fun, and the coordinate with you guys, and even Rome's to your point, like let's talk about this stuff. Like we don't have to wait for the MCU and DCU or somebody to drop something. Like let's talk about the stuff we love, and that's really what we want to do is give back to, you know, shift that canon, right? We're going to talk about the stuff that's great or make it great, like we just are. And I think it's taken a little more control back.
Yes, it's definitely us being more proactive to the content instead of being very reactive, because I think most of the time we wait around the things that are coming out. And again, I think that put us in a certain bucket of creators and things, and I think we wanted out of that. So we're definitely going to find ways to get out of that, do different things. Rome's, to your point, we'll do episodes on a whole arc. I think we've done it before, but I think it had to be done differently then because we were trying to do it around certain things. But there'll be arcs that we talk about that might not have to do with any project, and just an arc that we just really want to talk about because we're reading. And I think, excuse me, we're trying to be a little more up to date with like newer comics now, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, things like that. Reading on like Ultra and Unlimited and stuff to be more up to date, so we can talk about these things better. It doesn't mean that the podcast is disappearing as a podcast. I would also say not forever. For the immediate, I would say so. It will probably change though. Like, will we ever do a podcast again? Like a dedicated Canon Shift podcast? I wouldn't say no, but I think right now it'll look a little different. And the live streams aren't going to go away. They'll just be different as well. Kind of like how this one was.
Yeah.
Absolute Batman. We've talked about doing something Absolute Batman before. And I think
I think we're ready for some Absolute Batman conversations here. So yeah. Also, should we make the top Discord member of the week? We'll call it the Rome's Award, but Rome's can never win. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, we'll find a way to do like things for you guys. I know we've also talked about like Discord giveaways. Again, just things completely got so crazy over the summer, and after that, some of the things we had planned just didn't come to fruition. So we do want to do things for you guys because, again, you guys are our community, and we want to give back to you, and we will. Just give us a little bit to kind of set some things up. But Absolute Batman, guys, I think I wouldn't mind.
That might be the one.
Absolute Batman.
But it's overhyped. It's overhyped.
It's overrated. Okay. Everybody in the audience, do you want full 14 issue breakdown? Like from beginning to Bane ending, or do you want just arc and then second arc?
That's a good point. That's fair.
Because those are two very different presentations. Granted, we could fly through all 14 issues, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
I read the first 6. I still have to read the last couple.
That's
you would like MSB.
Yeah. But I definitely like the Zoo stuff.
Yeah. You would like the Bane stuff. I think you would really like the Bane stuff.
I love Bane.
And this Bane is, oh my god, I love it.
I see the pictures. Cool. I saw the Absolute Robin logo got revealed recently.
Yes.
I saw some
today actually.
I saw somebody say, given how everything else in Batman is standing, and how scale is in that movie, they're just assuming that the big ass R that he's standing in front of is just the size of Robin.
That's how big Robin will. That would be really funny. That would be really funny. No, yeah, I think it got revealed today. Actually, it was teased yesterday and got fully revealed today. That Robin's coming in issue 20. Issue 17 was today, I think it was, which was Poison Ivy.
I saw recently.
Yeah, Court of Owls is the next issue, I think. Poison Ivy is today's issue actually that just came out. her first appearance, like first
And
full.
R.
But yeah, that giant R, that would be really funny if it's just a giant floating R. Yeah, guys, Absolute Universe. If you guys haven't been reading that, read that. I read I'm slowly catching up on Absolute Superman, and that one's also really good. A bit of a more of a slow burn, I would say. Like it's not as hype inducing moments as Batman is. Um Still a great story though. Like really good.
I'm still waiting to pull the trigger on Absolute Wonder Woman. I really want to start it. I
I've
really
heard
want
some
to start it.
great stuff recently.
Yeah.
I've heard Green Lantern was awesome. Ryan,
I have
in
Green
our
Lantern.
community, always talks to me about Green Lantern and some of the absolute stuff, and he's always
Yeah.
raving about them.
Yeah. Green Lantern. Martian Manhunter is another one that everybody that I hear talk about it, they're like, yeah, that one slaps
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Marvel wise, is there any books Marvel wise you want us to talk about as well? Current stuff. I think one that would be really fun for us to talk about. Two that I would love for us to talk about. Moon Knight and New Avengers.
Ooh.
New Avengers is actually really, really fun and really, really good.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm so mad I didn't get a chance to pick up Null today. I still am upset about that.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to the shop today. However, it is on my pull list, so
Yeah.
whenever I make it there, I'll
Yeah.
definitely be getting Null.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about Null when it ends. It's 5 issues, 6 issues.
Yeah.
I think it ends around July. So that one is definitely, gents. I know I'm jumping the gun, but we're talking about Null.
Oh, of course. Ultimate Universe. Listen, we're gonna have a good balance and probably get a nice cadence for these things out to you guys, so we can do this kind of weekly. But you know, don't hit me with the Ultimate Wolverine right now, bro. Dude, the Ultimate they're like the Absolute Universe and the Ultimate Universe are staring at me in the morning, and I walk downstairs and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like,
Hey, baby.
guys, like stop, like I gotta work, and they're just like, "But do you?"
Hey, baby. Yeah, just teasing you.
My wife's like, "Who's that talking to you downstairs?" I'm like, "Shh, what?"
Who? Nobody, honey. Nobody. There's nobody. No.
You Poison Ivy?
I will say, not in a bad way, and this is just my thoughts right now. Rome's in response to the Ultimate Universe. I feel like we're caught in a weird time for it because of where we're at. With literally, I think the only other ongoing for them right now being, as of today, the Ultimates, it would be a much bigger undertaking to talk about the entire universe. I think we might be able to talk about Ultimate Endgame and then the next thing that they're doing, whatever the next Ultimate thing is, that's like in a few months from now. A whole Ultimate Universe might be a bigger undertaking, but one we would probably do later on down the line. But I think like more,
That's probably back half of the year.
yeah, more short term, we would definitely probably talk about like Endgame.
Yeah.
See, but Spider-Man
What a
ending
gun.
today is kind of hard. We
Yeah.
want to, trust me, we want to, and we probably will later on.
Yeah.
I think just with also everything coming out, like, dude, this month alone and next month between Punisher, Daredevil, Superman, Spider-Man special, Sentry, so many other like big number ones that are coming out that like we really want to talk about, I think too.
I could see
gonna be
Ultimates
kinda hard.
being like a November, December thing. Like
Yeah.
all encompassing like 2026. I was about to say 5. I don't know. There's tons of stuff to do. So there's going to be a lot. Also, let me ask you guys this question while you're on here. How do you guys like to see these things? Obviously, we're going to do our videos, but do you guys like seeing the social media? Do you like seeing the shorts? Are you guys on TikTok? Like just really quick, what like how do you guys consume that? Are the quick hits good, or do you want longer form videos, 10 minutes, 15, 20, 30? Obviously, we can talk for 2 hours. Just curious. Oh, Punisher. Dude, those are.
Roms, we'll hit you up later. We'll chat about it. Don't worry.
And then crown our first Rome's Award recipient.
15 to 30 hours.
Whoa.
You want us to start
Whoa.
doing our daily live, just live streaming our lives
Forever. We just live stream forever.
That'd be nuts.
So, what's your
I
reason
have a
for
friend
resigning
that's
from your
like-
job, like live stream?
Yo,
Roms.
I have a friend that's on like 15 hours straight stream. I don't know how the heck anyone can do it. Give them the most props.
If this was our job full time, I could do it. I would do it.
Oh, yeah, I guess I probably could too. But I don't know. I mean, just the thought of there's definitely gonna be breaks, but
Oh yeah, for sure.
it's a lot. I could watch anime for 15 hours straight, so I'm sure I could do. I'm sure I could talk. I'm sure we could figure it out.
We definitely could. We definitely could.
Yeah.
Okay, so any content and then kind of shorter to longer form content. Okay. And I think honestly for us that 30 minute longer is kind of where we thrive, I feel like, especially when it comes to like these longer comic chats that we've done them before. I think that's kind of where they end up. So I think that's definitely what we can do. And I think maybe we'll find a way to either kind of tease them through short form content and then we'll give it to you in a long form way. I think another question I wanted to ask, and I know we talked about this, gents, between us, maybe asking everybody else. Do you guys want to see more like day in the life vloggy collectible stuff too? Like, would you want to see us going to the comic shop as a video? I know we all live in separate states and different times, so I'm not saying we would, force anything, but would you guys want to see like a monthly or bi-weekly video of us collecting stuff, even if it's us as individuals, since we all live kind of far from each other? Well, Brandon the most, but
Boo.
But do you guys
Boo.
want to see us, like, if we can make it to the shop on Wednesdays for New Comic Book Day? Would you guys want to see that?
It's funny. I was talking to Rome's about this last night, actually, and he suggested I'm going to steal his answer from him if he types here, but he actually did suggest something. He was talking to me about that of like posting Funkos or collectibles and like kind of like what we do on our personal accounts on there. So,
Okay. Yeah, that is what we also discussed. Full transparency. What we also discussed was to kind of put our personal content onto here in some way. We were just trying to see if that's maybe something you guys want to see, because I know like not everybody wants to see that. Sometimes
We do it
people are just,
anyways,
I just come for one thing. Yeah.
And it won't be anything that's like, oh, you're making us do something we don't do anyways.
Yeah, it would just be an addition. Like we have fun doing this stuff. So seems like a yes for now.
Yeah.
Pull all our content here. Yeah. I think that's probably the idea we're gonna end up going with.
I agree.
Put polls out. We definitely will. We definitely will be putting polls.
Appreciate the feedback, y'all.
Yeah. Anything else, gents? Any other thing before we head out? I think that was all of mine for now.
No. Go watch Black Panther again if you haven't.
Yeah, go watch Black Panther. Go read some comic books. Go enjoy the medium in general. Go enjoy superheroes, guys. It's a great time.
So is it the canon? It says put polls out and then just decides the name. That's wild.
Right? Right. He said this is the name I came up with. It's good, right? No, I think SB, you said you're gonna put a poll out, right?
yes,
With some other
in the
options
next
that
couple
we
days
had.
I will.
Yeah, we have a few other options we wanted to present to you guys. I think we just have them in a separate file somewhere else. So just be on the lookout for Discord. We'll put it out there for the Discord people what we're gonna name it officially. So be on the lookout for sure. But until next time, I guess, right?
Yeah.
We don't have an outro, but you can still do the 3 most important things, I guess. But I mean, we're not going to end it with that. We'll say something else. SB, what are the 3 most important things? Don't end it though.
You must keep watching, keep reading, and keep nerding out.
Yeah, 100%. Every day, all day.
Still staying the same.
Yeah.
I'm living it. Still
Same.
living it. It's a way of life.
Different mask, same task. Or
Oh
no! Oh no! You're gonna come to MCU.
Oh no! Just wait until you see our shirts.
Oh no!
Dang. That was good. That was good.
Just get the logo printed over this one and get that on text.
Unsubscribe. Clicked now.
Hey, they found the voice actor for Amy, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Kristen Bell, baby, and beautiful casting for it.
That's a good casting.
As soon as I saw it, actually, Hero, you brought up something about being distracted at work today when shit goes down. That was me with the Amy. As soon as I saw that, I hopped in the Discord, shared it in like every Discord I'm in that I know people are Sonic fans in, and was just going feral for like 30 minutes without doing my payroll that I was supposed to be doing.
Nice. No one got paid. Thank you.
Hey,
Amy.
it's not due till tomorrow.
you,
So I was
Amy.
just getting a head start. So I was like, you know what?
Somebody is not getting their paycheck.
Everybody will get it, I promise. I don't submit it till Thursday, so I'll just get all the numbers loaded.
Joke's on you. Today's Thursday.
Tomorrow. I'll shit my pants on a live stream right now.
You'd be like, wait, is it? Oh, that's funny. But yeah, everybody, until the next one, thank you so much for joining us on what is Canon Shift's first official live stream. The change, the canon has been shifted. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.